Hello and welcome, everyone, to the final episode of 2020 of Life on Your Terms. So, today we're going to be talking about reflection. We're going to reflect on the year that has been. And I think we all know that it's probably it's probably been the craziest year of my lifetime. I'd openly admit that. I've had some crazy years, but yeah, as a whole, I think we'll be remembering and talking about this year through the history. Lockdowns, local lockdowns, national lockdowns, global lockdowns. It seems a lifetime ago that when we got the news about all this, but yeah, what's your take on it all, Chris?
Hello, everyone. Hello. So, I posted a controversial post on social media last night, and after managing to get out for a walk and grab a little beer from a little service station yesterday, and I was sat there, and there were some families playing in the park, and there were people walking around, and there were people probably bending and utilising the loopholes and the rules within the country for their benefit, should we say. And I sat there and I just thought, this year has actually been pretty good. And I know that sounds mental, but it's how you look at certain things. And I spend a lot of time looking at certain things in a certain way. And I just thought thinking back to some of the the kitchen raves that we've had, some of the things that we've achieved, some of the experience that we've had that we may not have had lockdown not have happened, had the global pandemic not have happened. And would I have been sat here right now talking to you, addressing my fan page and my personal page with a podcast, a Chris Fawcett coaching podcast? I don't know, because we're not in that position. And I always sort of think about the things that we can control, and I'm very focused on the things that we can control. And what we can control is what's going on in front of us and what we think about certain things. And I look back on this year and think it's been a pretty good year. Yes, a lot of it's been spent in the kitchen and been spent in the office and, in the few rooms that we have. But my outlook has been quite good. And I want to talk about that today, because it's very easy to just say, it's been a great year or it's been a crap year. But I want to delve into a little bit of why about why we think that, and how I look at things, and I'm sure how you look at things, because ultimately you've moved country today as well, haven't you? Not today, this year. You've had fair to say that you've had a great year.
Oh, I'd say it's been the best year of my life in many ways, and others not so much. But let's do a little movie synopsis of what you read on the back of a movie or a book of 2020. We totally understand it's been a hard year in many ways, shape and form. There's been loss of life. There's been loss of jobs. There's been loss of opportunities. There's been makings of opportunities. There's been a lot of, there's a lot of loss out there. And it's probably been, like I say, the craziest year I've ever experienced. And we're all in this together. There's no one that's got out of not feeling it. This is a global situation we're in, and it's whether it's been financially hard for you or not, it's been a crazy situation. And before we go into this positive mindset, we're humans, and I'm an empath in a big way. It's brought my heart to see daily businesses. I've ate at some restaurants that were magnificent out here. I've gone back to eat there 2 weeks later. It's shut. I've seen families begging on the streets. It's hard. It's been a hard year, and we totally are aware of this. We're not coming from a place that's not human, but we're here to put positive spins on it. And I want to delve into into gratitude, actually, because I'm sure each and every single one of us, although we've been through this pandemic and this crisis, every single person will have something to be grateful of this year. So I want to dig into gratitude first in this podcast, Chris, if that's all right. And I think it's a good way to set off, because if you're grateful for something, you can't be living in fear and not.
You can't be grateful and ungrateful at the same time. You can't be happy and unhappy at the same time. It's not possible. And gratitude, when you start practicing gratitude. If you do, amazing. If you don't, please start, because it will transform your, and I don't say this lightly, you know, I use some powerful language, but it will transform your life. Every morning, excuse me, I practice some sort of gratitude, whether it's 3 things, whether it's 10 things, or whether it's through some sort of meditation or whatever it is. But it immediately puts a smile on your face. So whatever situation you're in, whatever scenario, whatever bad place you might be in, whether you're tired, whether you're demotivated, whether you're depressed, just pretending even to smile, just thinking about a moment where you were really happy, or a moment where you were really excited, or you felt proud about something that you'd already done, or a moment where, you know, you really, really, really succeeded at something. It might have been at school as a child or something like that. Just think about that moment just for a second, and you can't be anything but in a good place. And when we start to be grateful for the little things in life, the little things that we have, being able to use a mobile phone, being able to listen to this podcast now or this live, being able to communicate with people far and wide across the world, being able to get water out of the tap. You know, when we traveled around South and Central America, getting water out of taps at times was challenging. Getting drinking water was definitely a no-no. You know, you had to walk to a shop and buy a bag of water or something like that. So sometimes just the small things in life are the big things, and it allows us to transform our mindset from expectation to appreciation. And when you're able to do that in all aspects of life, life completely changes.
Yeah, I'm with you as well, and we need to respect and be grateful for the small things, because they're the things that hold us together, you know. And it's so easy to forget that you're sheltered, you're living in a house, you've got Wi-Fi, you've got these luxuries, you know, you've got family, you've got friends, you've got support networks, because a lot of people don't have them. And like I say briefly on the start of the podcast, I've seen businesses shut, I've seen families on the street here, because Portugal, for example, where I'm based, they don't have any government help at all. Businesses have not got a penny. People have not got a penny because it's a relatively poor country. So these guys have had to just run it old-fashioned and the hard way, and it's heartbreaking actually to see. I've seen families, you know, just with little street signs saying COVID has took our house, we're now homeless. And I see a lot of it. It's not just one person I'm pointing reference to. Businesses are shutting on a weekly basis. I speak to restaurant owners, and they had 5 restaurants. They're now down to 1 on a thread, because, you know, we've got to be grateful, although I think we can all agree there's been some calamity errors on the government side of things. That they are helping people in some other ways as well, and that these guys don't have that. So you've got to be grateful in the situation that you can listen to this. You know, there's people out 100 yards from me on the street now with a sign, and we've got to be grateful for that. But can I ask you, Chris, what are the things you're grateful for this year the most?
Do you know, this year it's been family for me, and I just want to touch on something, and whether my mum's watching or not or listening. And, you know, she's had a hard couple of years, you know, losing my dad, and she was put on furlough in March and then made redundant in September, I believe. And, you know, it's challenging living on your own, you know, adapting to all of that, you know, and I've been a part of that, but she's lived it, you know, she's really lived it. I've got Amy, and she said something to me the other day, and, you know, we go back and forth, and, you know, I go and we have a chat and have a brew and stuff like that. And, you know, I've got this like coach's head on and helping her through, and she's 62, so she's got 62 years of beliefs that I've got to work through, which is really interesting for me, because it's very, very different. And she said something to me the other day, and she said, at least we're alive, at least I'm healthy, and I don't have to worry about money. And she said it with absolute confidence. And, you know, she's not been like that all the time, and I've not been like that all the time, but she said it, and it just made me smile, because it means that she's thinking differently, and it means that when she sat on her own at home, you know, she's doing some volunteering, but when she sat on her own at home with the 2 cats and no one really there to communicate with, she's in a relatively happy place. And that's what I'm really, really grateful for this year, is having very small family, but a healthy family, and a mum that doesn't have to worry about food, communication and money, because she's in a house that's secure. It's wonderful. And that's what I feel really grateful for this year, is being able to not worry about my mum in that respect, because that makes me happy. And when I think about that, and I think about the things that mum and dad did to get her in that position, that also makes me really, really happy, because there's certain things that they've done throughout their life and things that they've missed out on, to be able to, when this inevitably happened, for my mum to be able to sit there and not have to worry about a thing. All she worries about is the little daft things now that aren't actually worth worrying about, which is just funny, and we have a great time. But family's the key thing for me this year, and that's been really, really powerful. And probably, I know it sounds daft, but Zoom and being able to help and communicate with clients across the world that I would never have been able to communicate with. So I'm grateful for technology, as sometimes of a pain it is. Technology is being the one thing that's allowed me and allowed everyone else to be able to communicate with the friends, family, clients, customers, whatever it is, around the world, non-stop, without any form of disruption, really. It's been very, very clear cut. People have acted straight into action, and boom. So yeah, family and technology for me. What about yourself?
Me, I think my partner, my companion. I've got one, and I've seen people who are lonely and they don't have someone. I know good friends who are living back with their parents because they've not got money coming in now, and there was, self-employed, and now that they've almost had the chain pulled away from them, so they're just playing the waiting game for it to get normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my partner I'm really grateful for, because without her, I wouldn't be the man I am anyway, full stop. But really, for me, it comes down to the most thing I'm grateful for this year has been time. I've had bags of it, and I've used it to my advantage. I've created the membership that I host now, which is a yoga platform. We're helping 320 members, progress and empower their life. I wouldn't have been able to set this up without coronavirus and the time that coronavirus gave me. So, it's been time, really. I've had time. It's been the pause that I needed to push. I've had these visions. I've had these business ideas for many a year, but for me, it gave me the time for me to actually take action on. And that's what I'm grateful for the time, because we've all had it. It's what we've done with it that's mattered. Because I really think there's sayers and there's doers, and going back onto, that's what I'm grateful for. In a nutshell, is the time it gave me and my partner breathing space to set up. I'll tell you a funny story, actually. We was here in Lisbon about last August, and we was at a bar, and we was chatting to this Portuguese couple, and we were like, we'd love to live here one day. We'd really love to live here. Maybe we start a subscription service off where you just do yoga online. And we put in a little affirmation there, just a tiny one, didn't even really mean it. So we had a drink and we said, yeah, let's do that next year. You get back home, you run ragged, you're both working 2 jobs. What time do you have to come home and do more yoga when you've been teaching 25 classes a week? She didn't have the time to do it. She was burnt out. It was impossible almost to do. It was not impossible, because nothing is impossible. I take back that word. But it was going to be hard, challenging, and almost, if we'd have set it up then, would it have had the same impact it had now? Probably not. I'm not here to be a fortune teller. I don't know. It might have done better, but I really think that setting it up was the perfect time to set it up. And with a pause, we needed to push onto that affirmation, that statement we put out, sat in Lisbon a year ago, and a year to the day, guess what happens? Lo and behold, we're packing up everything selling everything and moving to Lisbon with a membership site. So yeah, I'm grateful for the time. I'm not actually grateful for the virus. I don't want to put it on that way, because there's obviously been lots of lives, lots of jobs and stuff, but it has actually given me more time than I've ever had to do something with.
And that's a really interesting point that you talk about time, because there's all sorts going on. There's everything going on. There's time, there's stress, there's strain, there's losses, there's opportunities. And this is coming from the most beautiful vision possible, that it's how we look at these scenarios. You know, I remember speaking to loads of people over the last 6-9 months, and they've absolutely loved the fact that they've been able to like spend time at home with the newborns, you know, because they've not been at work and they've not been earning the money they were used to, but they've managed to spend the time at home with the newly born children. Whereas some people had nothing but time and didn't utilize it for anything. They sat and they were bored. And we have an outlook on everything, and we have a choice and we have a decision to make about the scenario that is in front of us, i.e. if you're on furlough or you've got time in front of you. And it's been really interesting to observe and be a part of people's lives in how they perceive the situation, because we've all got a model of the world. We've all got a filter. Say we have glasses on now, we've got a filter, which is our beliefs, our experiences and our emotions all filtering what's happening outside. You know, I'm looking out of the window now and it's pretty grey, wet and, you know, not ideal. And I look at it and think, well, great, I've been for my run already this morning. I'm sat inside, the heating's on. You could be looking at outside and thinking, what a horrible day. It's the same thing. And how we look at life and how we look at the scenario and the situation that we're in, it's not just about being a positive thinker. It's about seeing it as it is, but no worse, and then looking at how we can improve it. And that's very, very important.
Yeah, and I think 2020 as a whole, people have used it as a scapegoat almost. I keep reading, can we just get to 2021? Can we just, you know, people are blaming 2020. Oh, I see memes all the time, 2020 be like, and there'll be something funny. And it's a joke, but it's become a running joke now that it's like, for me, you're right. We have a decision, we have a choice, and we're blessed to have that. We wake up every day with a gift of making a decision. Some people don't get that. Tomorrow's promised to absolutely nobody. And we have that decision we can make. We can either run and go, oh, well, I'll just sit and wait all that time for a vaccine to come out. But it's not going anywhere, you know? Yeah. The coronavirus isn't just going to not be there on New Year's Day 2021. It's still out there. You've got to make decisions now that impact you
down the line,
with or without a virus. Yeah. You know, it's a bulletproof mindset. It's going through like, I can overcome, you know. It's all about adversity and overcoming situations anyway. So if you can make something of yourself now in this winter period, let's say, it's setting up for really good stead when things do get back into the swing of things, because you could be waiting a long time. Who knows? This vaccine comes out, everyone's hoping it's well. It might not work. We don't know anything. Nothing's certain. The only certain thing you've got is a decision to make.
Exactly. 100%. You know, and we're putting it across, and it sounds really simple, and we're trying to make sure that it's not coming across from a negative way, but we all have this power, and it's choosing to decide something, or it's choosing to think something. It's like if you go left, you go right, you get a different destination, you get a different result. So how about choosing one day to think and look at a scenario and just think, could I look at that slightly differently? You know, and just all I want you to do is just consider looking at things slightly differently, and look at this year and think, you know, if I was somebody else, how else could I look at it? What could I learn from the scenario? What happened? And what can I take into next year? Because wanting 2020 to disappear might be one thing, but if we've not learned anything from 2020, we're going to go into 2021 even worse off. So yes, it might not have been the most ideal year, definitely a true statement for a lot of people. However, what have we learned, and what can we take into 2021 that will allow us to move, grow, learn, and develop and become a better version of ourselves because of the pandemic? I look at the pandemic and think it's taught me so much about myself, about how humans behave, about how to communicate with people, about what does and doesn't work in business, what I need to help clients with, how much I need to communicate with them. It's allowed me to get as fit and as lean as I've ever been. It's allowed me to do so many things. What it hasn't done is allow me to go to Glastonbury, America twice, get married, all these things, but I'm not in control of any of that. Yes, I would love to have gone to America and spent a month traveling America. Wonderful. But once that was cancelled, it was cancelled. I couldn't go. I can't control it. But what I can control is my emotion and how I look at that scenario and what I did with that money or what I did with that time.
Absolutely, and that's the truth, isn't it? It's America's not going anywhere. You know, it's still going to be there. It's been there. It's been through a lot of other stuff. It's still going to be there at the end of a pandemic, and you've got to use that and know that day'll come, and you've got to look forward to that. But it wasn't meant to be. That America trip didn't happen for a reason, and it wasn't meant to be. And this is a time now. And people might think, oh, it's all right for you to say this, but that's a limiting belief, you know. I'm no different. Trust me. I've come from a council estate in Leeds, and I've all I've done is hustled. I've not done anything that no one's ever done before. I've hustled, and that's it. And I've made ends meet, and it's all through wanting to help people. Actually, you know, that's my field. It's helping people through this membership, but. We've all got these decisions to make. It's like, how much do you want it? Do you want to buy a crate of beer and sit and watch telly, or do you want to actually learn and read a book that might progress stuff? Because guess what, that crate of beer has lasted longer than America. You know, it's not going anywhere. You can have that one day, or you can. The times now is what I'm trying to get at to implement stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I went full time in my coaching business in March. The world shut down. You know, I had no other I had income coming in, but I had no guarantee of anything. But all I had was some belief and guts and persistence and patience to make it happen. And you can do that, you know, in whatever you're doing. You know, I left a perfectly well paid. In fact, I left a perfectly well paid job nearly 2 years ago now, and then I left a freelance job that was paying extremely well to go into an industry that I had limited experience in, but I had a whole lot of excitement and readiness and patience, but ready to go. And I was persistent in what I did and patient in what I did. And it starts to pay off, you know, and you don't have to go and set a business up, but just look at this year. If we're going to take anything from this today, how can you look at this year and learn from it and take the positives away from it and take the good things out of it? And take that into next year, because when you go into next year with the new learnings about this year, with hopefully with everything starting to settle down and creating this new version of normality, you're going to be in such a strong position over a lot of other people that you will start to succeed like that, because you've worked through it, you've learned the things that didn't work and did work, and then you've started implementing the new world. And taking that kind of mindset and those skills and those learnings are going to take you to the stratosphere.
That's so true. And if you take anything away from this, it's the grateful situation. Just try it. Try wake up in the morning, get up a little bit earlier, set an alarm half an hour earlier, maybe go for a little walk, even if it's just around the block. And in that walk, just be grateful. The entire walk. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be half an hour. Whatever this simple walk is for you, it doesn't matter on the miles. This isn't an exercise to lose weight. It's not an exercise to do all them things. It's an exercise to put yourself into a grateful mind. And the mindset then does wonderful things for the rest of the day, because the big things are the big things and the little things don't even matter anymore.
Even not getting out of bed, you can lay in bed and do 3 things that you're grateful for.
Yeah.
3 things you're grateful for from the previous day and 3 things you're grateful for in the day that's coming. Because when you start priming the mind, prepping it, preparing it, psyching it up for things that are going to happen, they are more likely to happen.
Yeah, that's it.
How about that?
Yeah, I think that's the main point I take away from today is the gratefulness, the gratitude.
Yeah.
And if you can be grateful in a year that, let's be honest, quite frankly, as a whole, has sucked, for many people, for lots of people. But if there's something you can take away from that, imagine where we'll be in 2025, or in the future. You embed that into your system, and it goes deep within.
Exactly. Yeah. So have an amazing Christmas, everybody. The best you can with the situation that we're in. And sometimes we don't have a lack of resources. We have a lack of resourcefulness. So we've just got to get a little bit fruity, and we've got to try and find new ways of doing things and getting the same result or getting a new result that we're happy with. And it's all about learning, growing, and developing. And if you're learning, growing, and developing, you're living life
on your terms. There you go. That wasn't rehearsed, guys.
Have the best Christmas you can, and really take some time to review this year and how you can take all the learnings into next year and really start to live it in a grateful, positive, happy state, and things will start to come to you.
100%, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll be back in 2021 with a bang and giving you all your self-development needs, going through coaching sessions with me and Chris. And yeah, we'll be there all year long, and we're going to make next year a really big year of education for you guys. So keep tuned in, and remember, live life on your terms. Mwah.
Absolutely. See you. Bye.